here in a second. We've got Governor Lujan Grisham. We've got our Healthcare Authority Secretary, Carrie Armijo. We've got Senator Stewart, Speaker Martinez. We have Jill Dixon, the Executive Director of the Food Depot. We have Manny Encinius, owner of Trilogy Beef and Buffalo Creek Ranch in Moriarty. And we have Representative Rena Sapansky as well. We're going to start with the governor. Thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. And frankly, thank you for Everyday New Mexicans for being here as well. I'm going to actually start by telling you this was my neighborhood grocery store. Raised my family just a couple of blocks south off of 12th Street. And we should not have these loud cars. That should be in the 30-day session. And this grocery store is important for a number of reasons, not the least of which is taking SNAP benefits and making sure that New Mexicans get the food they need. But when I was a member of Congress, I was taking care of my mother, and she lived with me in my house just a few blocks behind me. And she would panic and was already having cognitive issues and would think she was out of food and be really upset. And I could make a call to this grocery store, that woman right over there, Nellie, and she would deliver food to my mother, and this grocery store refused to ever let me pay for the delivery services. And I found out they did it for everyone in this neighborhood, and they still do. And that is what we do for each other, right? We build communities, and I am really proud to be the governor in this moment, because the people who are standing with me, and there's lots of people that aren't here, that are part of a team effort. New Mexico is announcing today that we are going to provide food benefits to New Mexicans in November. We have enough money immediately to keep food on the tables for needy New Mexico families for 10 days, November 1st for November 10th. $30 million we're gonna spend, all right? Yeah, it's worth clapping for. Now, I wanna do just 3 quick things. There's a lot of people who are gonna speak. No state, including this one, can replace the federal SNAP benefit. All right? Just between now and the end of December for New Mexico would cost more than $250 million. It's a federal benefit. But this state is the first state to acknowledge that we're going to choose feeding families over politics in New Mexico. We're going to do that right now. 2, what is happening in Washington, D.C. is cruel and unjust. And I want New Mexicans to know this. They have the money. They have $5 billion in a fund available to feed Americans, 42 million Americans. And they aren't going to do it because they would rather play politics. The president has made it clear through his surrogates in his departments and directly that he does not care if women, children, the disabled, and our seniors go without food. It is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen, ever, at the federal level in the history of the United States. And I also want New Mexicans to know this has never happened. There have been shutdowns. People don't get paid. And there's a lot of anxiety. That's wrong. But they always distribute the SNAP benefits. This is unprecedented. It's purposeful. It's outrageous. And as Americans and as New Mexicans, we should and will demand that they correct this injustice. to every single New Mexican who depends on that benefit. Last two quicker things. We also have farmers and ranchers that depend on this benefit and are providing good, healthy food for New Mexicans who stand to lose everything. Generations of work. 1,753 grocery stores and food providers rely on SNAP benefits to make their way here to buy food. They could go out of business. This has such terrible, far-reaching effects that we could be here for hours talking about the risks. But instead, I'm here, and I don't do this enough. I want to thank the New Mexicans who are shoulder to shoulder, do not mind, who would insist that we spend money, who already just appropriated another $26 million to feed New Mexicans and to get food to food banks. They already did this. They came to work, the opposite of a shutdown. They worked hard and they appropriated additional dollars to do everything we can during the October aspects of the shutdown and the impacts of the tax bill for billionaires, and not the benefits and services for everyday hardworking New Mexicans and Americans. So they're doing their job every single day, and Republicans in Congress should do their damn job in the same way that our legislators, bipartisan, are standing up for New Mexicans. And here they are doing that again. I am incredibly proud of New Mexico today, and I'm incredibly proud of a legislature who socks money away, who makes smart, deliberative choices, and always puts our working New Mexico families first every single time. They are unified. And the last thing, I want New Mexicans to not panic. I want you to do what you need to do and to stand up and support your neighbors. We're all going to work together to figure it out, moving beyond the 10 days. So maybe there'll be a question about that and we'll talk about it. But the most important thing is spend your benefits on SNAP. They don't expire on November 1. Do that. It won't be enough to carry your family. So we're going to create a New Mexico food program that will. And then we're going to keep doing this work. And shame on Congress, who immediately needs to go back to work and solve this problem, and this administration who created the problem in the first place. And now I'm ending, and I'm going to give a list because it's too long to read. It's that long. I want to do a shout out to every New Mexico restaurant and business that without our efforts already said, I'll feed kids, I'll feed your family, I'll deliver food, I'll do what John Brooks did for me, so I didn't have to worry about my mother's well-being. That's who we are. That's who and what New Mexico is about. This is an important moment for standing for the right things every single day in the right ways. I thank you, and ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to work and take care of New Mexicans. And with that, I'm going to ask the pro tem to also make remarks. Oh, that lieutenant governor snuck in right behind me. So we'll call the lieutenant governor up. He probably needs my box.
Good afternoon. It's so good to be here. What a wonderful turnout for this important announcement. You know, as I look around and see so many New Mexicans who have worked for so many years, like Pam Roy, and the work that you've done to ensure that we have food on our tables. The Rio Grande Food Project, all of our food pantries that have been here, part of this state for years, long before we had this crisis that we're dealing with today. I want to thank the governor for this invitation to allow me the opportunity to share a few words from a personal perspective, and also to thank the legislative body from the House and the Senate who joined us in making sure that we're doing what we can and doing what we must to take care of New Mexicans. You know, this announcement that the governor made today is truly a life-saving announcement. In a country and a state where food insecurity is at an all-time high, when we see that health outcomes are directly linked to nourishment, It's important that as New Mexicans we do is what we've always done, is to take care of our people across our state. And the example throughout the time when Senator Michael Padilla championed making sure that we had food for every child, regardless of income, at the schools. And many more examples that I can give. But I have to say that I'm troubled today, not only for the issue and the inaction of Congress and President Trump, but I'm troubled by many issues of the rhetoric that we hear across social media or in discussions. The rhetoric that says that people who are receiving SNAP benefits or get food stamps aren't worthy or are taking advantage of the system, or they're too lazy to go to work. And we know that that is simply just not true. We know that the impact that this has stretches far beyond those excuses that are given for the inaction. And we know, because of the leadership of the governor and our legislative leaders, that we must do something to move past that. Because the rhetoric that is out there is unimaginable. But even more so, it's un-American. And as a state where we take pride in united cultures, and take pride from Farmington to Carlsbad, from Lordsburg to Los Alamos, from Matone to right here in Albuquerque, of taking care of one another. And it doesn't get past me that we're just down the street from Valley High School, where many of those students rely on the support that is given there. And I have to say, from a personal perspective, I was one of those students. I was one of those students that had to go to the local Safeway or Furr's supermarket in Silver City, 250 miles away. That would pay with food stamps that my parents were given. And at the time, the food stamps were like in the form of Monopoly money. And knowing that even though I was in high school and it was embarrassing at times, and not wanting to do that, I know it was important as we helped our family. And it wasn't because my parents didn't want to work. But looking back in the 1980s, my mother working at a department store that paid $2.65 minimum wage. And my father working in the copper mines where they would go up and down on the volatility of the copper prices, and at times would mean for layoffs. Those were the times that our families needed that. Times for Thanksgiving dinners, or just everyday opportunities for nourishment. So I stand here on behalf of the many New Mexican seniors, children, families across the state, thanking Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, thanking the legislature, and recognizing that we sit today on 36% reserves and many dollars that are tucked away, that we have a healthy budget to be able to do that, but not taking away from the fact that President Trump, Congress, and Senate have a responsibility to take care of 42 million Americans across this country. We're going to lead by example, and the governor has made that clear, to take care of the people of our state. And I'm grateful for her leadership, who are looking out for people like myself, who are 250 miles away, but the need just the same. Thank you, Governor. And now it's my honor to introduce our next speaker, who's here and is a champion for families all across the state. And I've seen this throughout my years within the legislature. Our Senate President Pro Tem, Senator Mimi Stewart.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor and Governor, for bringing us together. Governor, I didn't share this with you, but 48 years ago, when I moved back to the Southwest and moved to Albuquerque, I was on 12th Street and Mountain. So John Brooks was my grocery store too. And as I walked through there with her, and she said, it hasn't changed at all. It doesn't seem like it's changed. It's very clean still. It's very orderly. The aisles are big enough for all of us. So go John Brooks. So let me tell you, we're all going to be talking about the same thing. I think it's serious enough so that it bears repeating, so that you all know what we know. because it's just so shocking that on this Saturday, our federal government is going to refuse to distribute the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, what they call SNAP, despite having, you heard from the governor, $5 billion in a contingency fund. So they could do it. It's not the resources that's lacking, it's a question of priorities. And the Trump administration has decided that feeding hungry families is just not a priority. But let me be clear about what this means for our state. 460,000 of our residents are on these food benefits. 21% of our population is on these food benefits. It's the highest percentage of any nation in the nation. But they're not statistics. We're talking about children and seniors and veterans and working families. Among those 460,000 are approximately 175,000 children who depend on this assistance to eat. These kids are trying to focus on school. You can't do that if you're hungry. You just can't do that if you're hungry. Our seniors, many of them on fixed incomes. I've got a veteran brother. He lives solely on Social Security. I have to feed him once a week to supplement his income, but our veterans are really in danger of not having what they need to survive. So in New Mexico, we know what it means to take care of each other. We've been doing it for millennia. In hard times, we pull together. The idea that the federal government would knowingly keep food off the table of our children, our veterans, our seniors, our working families, it's just unconscionable. This crisis, as you heard from the governor, extends beyond the individual families. These food benefits provide $80 to $90 million a month for our economy. The small groceries, you heard from the governor, over 17,000 jobs related to these EBT cards. Rural grocery stores are in danger of closing or not being able to pay their workers. Small businesses that serve our communities, particularly in our rural frontier areas where options are limited. So this isn't just assistance. This is an economic stimulus that flows through our communities. It helps our local stores, our farmers markets, our farmers, our ranchers, and our agricultural workers. So when we support families in need, which we are going to do, thanks to the governor and the legislature, we support our entire fabric of New Mexico. So while our federal government's playing games, we want to accept the responsibility and we want to step up and do what's right. So we thank and applaud the governor for announcing the $30 million emergency state funding. We put it in the special session without thinking we would need to use it within a month. Within a month. We just did that less than a month ago. So we are standing strong together with the governor, the legislature. We're working across our chambers, House and Senate, working across our parties. We want to find solutions that will cover continued benefits until we return to the regular session or until the federal government finds some type of clues along the way to do what is right by us. So when we protect our food benefits, we're just not feeding families, we're investing in healthier children, children who can focus and learn in school, seniors who will pay for medications, not just food, workers to have the energy and the health to contribute to our economy. This emergency funding will ensure that you're not going to be hungry next week, because that's when it's here, next week. It's what we stand for, it's who we are. I'm very proud to be part of this legislature with this governor. When Washington plays politics, we take action. We will get through this. We are going to work with you. We're going to help each other. It will be okay as we move forward. Now I would like to introduce our great Speaker of the House, Representative Javier Martinez.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. And this too is my neighborhood grocery store. And I'm here 5 times a week. I get a special discount. This is community, folks. This is community. Sometimes I come on Sundays just so that we can talk smack to each other because we all cheer for different football teams. And that's the truth. It's community. And as the governor stated earlier, I know I didn't know that example, Governor, but I've heard other examples of this grocery store stepping up for its neighbors over many, many, many years. Now, folks, let's keep in mind this crisis out of DC is a manufactured crisis. Trump has the ability to fund SNAP through money that's already been appropriated. They're choosing not to. What they're telling the American people and what they're telling New Mexicans is that they have to choose between their health care or putting food on the table. And that is not only gross, it is a pathetic abuse of power. And so what you're seeing here today is New Mexico once again leading this nation in how we treat each other and how we treat our neighbors. The food assistance program that the governor has just announced will be for every single New Mexican who needs it. Everybody who is dependent on the SNAP program, regardless of where they live. Even though this is a Democratic trifecta, we are not picking and choosing who gets this benefit. We don't care if you vote Democrat or Republican. We don't care what your voter registration says. We don't care if you live in a blue county or a red county. What we care about is that you have the food on the table that you need. Families with children who, starting Saturday, across this country will no longer be able to buy food. Veterans who depend on the program to feed themselves. Low-income seniors, some of them who might have chronic or perhaps terminal illness, who will not be able to put food on their table. How cruel is that? Mike Johnson opened up the government. I hope the Holy Spirit talks to Mike Johnson in his sleep and speaks some sense to him. This is going beyond partisan or political differences. This is just about punishing the most vulnerable in our community. Now, folks, one thing that I've been thinking a lot about over the last few weeks and even the last few months is how much dysfunction is coming out of Washington on a daily basis. And for those journalists here with us, I really commend you, because I don't know how you do your jobs. It must be hard to have to report this craziness every single day. And I've come to the conclusion that what Stephen Miller's and Trump's strategy is to make us, the average American person, lose our sense of compassion and our sense of love for one another. And what we are showing here today is exactly the opposite. We are not going to become cynical. We are not going to let them turn us into them. We're going to step up for New Mexicans who depend on these programs so that they can put food on their table for their children, seniors, veterans, all of those who depend on this program to feed themselves. So, Governor, thank you once again for your leadership. To my Senate colleagues, thank you all for your leadership. To my House colleagues, thank you all for your leadership and for your flexibility. I know how quickly these things move. And we have to sometimes make decisions. Sometimes it seems overnight. With that, I'd like to introduce my fearless House Floor Majority Leader, Representative Rena Stepanski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What's been outlined today is an extraordinary response to an extraordinary moment in American history, to a problem that was entirely preventable. And so I want to take a minute to just call on the Trump administration to do the right thing and make sure that families have food on the table this weekend. Now, I want to also take a minute to recognize all of the folks that are gathered on either side with us who are responsible for getting food onto people's tables. They are our food banks, our food charities, all of the folks that work with them to deliver food into the community. They are the grocery store workers, all of whom are getting ready in a way that they should not have to in this moment right now. And again, this is an entirely preventable situation, but we have all of these folks that are ready. And I know my colleagues from both sides of the aisle, our colleagues from the community that are here, we're all ready to meet this moment, but we shouldn't have to be here. Food is a basic necessity for families in our state. This is almost 500,000 New Mexicans that are going to be impacted. That's 1 in 5 people that you meet as you walk through this parking lot is dependent on this benefit. Now, one of the things that's happened over the last few days is that all of these stories have come forward that have, I think, really warmed all of our hearts, because community organizations are stepping up. Churches and charities and grocery stores and small businesses are all stepping up to ensure that families don't go hungry. And everybody's doing their little part. And that's what makes our state so strong, is we can confront a crisis like this that was not of our making, not of our design, and we are going to each open up our pocketbook, open up our business, open up our organization, and figure out how are we going to meet this moment and how are we going to keep our families healthy and safe in this moment. But make no mistake, they're trying to make this a false choice between healthcare and food at the federal level. As someone who just championed extending healthcare benefits for New Mexicans so that we could prevent the crisis that's being perpetuated at the federal level, our state is in a unique position in that our New Mexicans are not going to face the same kind of healthcare increases that people in other states can. And what we've shown is that at the federal level, they could do that too. They could put this healthcare debate to the side and say, you know what? We're going to keep talking about that and talk about our differences there, but we're going to make sure that families have food. And so I really want to thank the governor, the House and Senate leadership that have come together in this extraordinary moment to make this happen. It's really unprecedented, and I'm hoping that the federal government will take action so that we can make it past these 10 days, so that we can ensure that our families are safe and secure and our kids have the food that they need towards the middle of November. And as a mom, Thanksgiving is coming. Our families all deserve to have that Thanksgiving dinner that they need. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jill Dixon. I'm the Executive Director of the Food Depot, a food bank serving northern New Mexico. And I'm also gratefully the sitting president of the New Mexico Association of Food Banks. I would be remiss, I've been staring at you all this whole time because this is such an amazing moment. Standing over there is the food security system in New Mexico. Our friends from Roadrunner, Dana Yost and Katie Anderson, from Echo up in Farmington, Laura Watson, Alice Perez.
The farmers are here also, thank you.
Yes, sir. Alice from Gallup, Diana from over in Clovis, and yes, sir, our farmers are here. And we have all worked together with our legislature, with the governor's office for years to build this incredible system of support for New Mexicans. And gosh, my heart is racing, and this is the best day I've had in weeks. New Mexicans rise together. We take care of each other. We believe in community and reaching out to one another when times are really hard. And I've seen that again and again in 13 years of food banking, but I have never seen a day like today. There's a gentleman who works and receives food from the Bernal Community Center, and he told me that when New Mexicans rise like this together, that's the definition of familia. And that's what I see here today, and I'm just so incredibly grateful. Food banks are designed as the last resort to make sure that the people have food in their fridge and in their pantry and on their table. We're intended to be the last resort. the SNAP program the most efficient and best way to make sure people can provide for themselves. And how much dignity is there in that? Shop for your own food, bring it home, cook it, provide for your kids. That's what we want to see happen, is the SNAP program to be fully funded, those benefits to be on that EBT card, and for folks to just go to the grocery store here and all over New Mexico. We want that to be what is happening, because that is the best line of defense against food insecurity. The food banks have been trying mightily in partnership with the Healthcare Authority to figure out what we were going to do to live in a world without SNAP. And the truth is, our capacity can't rise fast enough. So we are so grateful for this moment to know that our legislature continues to support us, that the governor's office continues to support us, and that New Mexico, like the familia that we are, is going to rise together. We are going to face down this challenge, and we are all going to stand in solidarity, agreeing that every single human being deserves to have food in their house and on their table. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Manny Encinas. I'm a rancher and a beef producer from the Estancia Valley in rural Torrance County. This momentous announcement is a solid statement that in New Mexico, our Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham and our elected leaders in the legislature will continue to provide solutions to one of New Mexico's single largest social issues, food insecurity. Food insecurity is real, and it plagues more of New Mexico than most New Mexicans realize. Food security is not just an urban crisis, it's at the end of so many rural dirt roads across New Mexico, like my county. As I leave the ranch every day in rural Torrance County, I know so many along my delivery route to the city face the daily uncertainty of where their next meal will come from, and it literally rips at my heart. As a year-round farmers market vendor, these federal assistance programs provide hope and opportunity for individuals and families to shop for the freshest local produce and beef produced by their neighbor farmers and ranchers. The last 2 weeks have been occupied with heart-wrenching conversations with customers as we try to stretch the last of their federal assistance and food assistance programs. These types of conversations should never be happening, but they are. We as farmers and ranchers are bracing for harder times with the cuts to these food assistance programs. The federal assistance cuts are going to hurt every New Mexico farmer and rancher who depend on weekly federal assistance sales by their customers. On most weeks, sales from federal assistance sales make up about 20% of my farmers market revenue. I know for a fact that there are so many New Mexico small farmers and ranchers that can't weather this type of storm long term. But it's days like today that demonstrate that if we all do our part, from the governor's office through the halls of the roundhouse to the rancher at the end of a county road in rural Torrance County, we can ensure that all New Mexicans can continue to have access to fresh, high-quality New Mexico-grown food. Thank you again to the administration and all the legislators across both aisles for the continued work on food security and strengthening our local food systems in New Mexico. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Healthcare Authority Cabinet Secretary Carrie Armijo.
Good afternoon. I'd like to just, I'm going to be brief in my remarks. I know people are eager to get to questions, but I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank this community. Sorry, I'm tall. This community, our legislature, and our governor for caring about our fellow New Mexicans. The SNAP program works. It is the most effective tool that we have in the fight against hunger and food insecurity. It keeps our kids fed, it reduces poverty, it improves health and academic outcomes, and it supports our working families. We will do everything in our power at the Healthcare Authority to help families navigate this federal uncertainty. So, what do New Mexicans need to know? First, I just want to restate that families can continue to use their already loaded EBT cards. So benefits will continue to carry forward. Even though federal SNAP benefits for November can't be issued while the shutdown continues, New Mexico is going to provide a state-issued bridge program so that families receive a portion of their typical monthly SNAP benefit in November. This isn't going to replace the full amount of the federal benefit with the $30 million initially, but it is going to help families keep food on the table while Washington resolves this problem. I do want to thank the amazing public servants at the Healthcare Authority for standing this program up in very quick amount of time. So thank you. It's the amazing team. So New Mexicans can expect that those state funds are going to cover roughly 30% of their SNAP benefit, and those will go out the door November 1st. For our elderly and disabled customers, they can expect to receive that SNAP supplement that keeps them at that minimum $100 benefit. So we want to make sure that you all know what to expect. We will be sending a lot of messages out to our customers in the next couple of days, making sure that they understand what they'll see on those EBT cards. I also want to reiterate, please don't stay away from our offices. To all New Mexicans who need help, please come see the Healthcare Authority. We are open, we are ready to serve you. Our website is up. We want families to continue to apply for benefits. We will continue to issue support to families who qualify for expedited assistance because they are almost out of food. So we will make sure that those benefits also get issued quickly. And so with that, I think we will stop for questions and I'll be able to answer those. Thank you.
Just go Channel 13.
Please make it clear who you're directing your question to.
I guess either to the governor, pretty much. I know you mentioned there would be 10 days that would be covered with this initial funding, but is there enough money after those 10 days if DC doesn't resolve the issue, or would you be even willing to potentially call a special session to kind of cover some more of this funding?
Yes, to all of those references and questions. We think we have a variety of opportunities. The most important thing, I think, to tell New Mexicans is we're united. How exactly we do what between now and the 10 days, the legislature will guide the decisions of the executive. But our reserves, money that we have available in a number of places, puts us in one of the best positions in America to feed our families. With just that one caveat, and I want this to be a celebration of courage today about doing the right thing, no matter what the political landscape looks like. Because that's what this is today. We know where our priorities are. Their people and their families. This state, nor can any other state, backstop all of the different cuts the federal government is purposely making. But what we can do is lobby like hell the federal government to do their jobs, to tell Republicans to go back to Washington, D.C., to ask the president to end his foreign trip and to come back and spend the money that he has available right now to feed families. But while we fight that fight, that's all of our jobs, and we will do it. We have several vehicles after the 10 days, and a special session is not outside the realm of opportunities. And I want to thank, frankly, the legislators. I didn't have to ask them. I'm not sure they're prepared for that. I didn't have to ask them if that's the best step for a direct appropriation. They're just ready to do the work to protect New Mexicans. But it's premature to say exactly what vehicle we will take and how quickly we take it. But we are very cognizant that 10 days of food security is not enough, and we're dedicated to deal with this for as long as we can. Is that fair? Yeah. Okay.
Let's go over here to Nash Jones.
Yeah, Nash, USO PBS. This may be better posed to Secretary Armijo, but I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the logistics of how this works. Can people expect the state money to show up on their EBT cards just as they expect federal money to? Is it going to be accessed in a different way?
Accessed in a different way, so different card, not an EBT card, similar system. And we know all of these recipients, so we know who you are. Yep. Oh, I lied. So there you are. Gonna be on the EBT cards. Gosh, Carrie, you're fired, and it was such a celebration. I thought we were doing another thing. I just got off a plane. This is why you hire smart people. And I don't mind having the smartest people in America make sure that New Mexicans know how to access these benefits. So yes, it will be right on your EBT card. And Carrie, get closer. Come much, much closer to me. And we'll make sure that you have access to the benefits. And I wish it was all of it all at once, but between us and the food banks and the stores and the restaurants and the grocery stores, we're gonna get New Mexicans as close as humanly possible. We're not gonna let food insecurity creep into this state over the next 10 days for sure. And I feel very confident in saying, and far beyond that until the federal government does its job. Thank you, Carrie. Don't go away.
Governor, I want the 30 million that is going to come out of this appropriation contingency fund that's also been used for fires and flooding and things like that. Is there concern about having money available in case there are other, statewide needs over the next 2-3 months?
Yeah, always. But look, this legislature specifically did that. My sense is, while I can never predict an emergency or a government shutdown length, they're pretty clear that they would rather have the executive branch, which is not like a lot of states. There's a lot of, awkward relationships in politics today, and I think that's driven by the White House too. We don't let that happen in New Mexico, and it really is. You may not see it in a global vote, but trust me, you're there, and in the committees. You know that our Republican colleagues care about New Mexico families. They care about all of us doing our jobs. The Democrats stand up and lead when they're called to. They knew we were going to need this 30 million, and we've had a ton of emergencies, and they've been very clear that they expect us to serve communities in their times of need, and they don't have to do that. They can make it much more challenging for the executive branch, and they don't. But I want to really say, I didn't ask for that in that way. They did this in advance of what was coming, and I want people to really understand the benefit of having an effective elected legislative body.
Danny Prokop.
Danielle Prokop, Source New Mexico. I believe this is for Secretary Armijo. Can you tell me if you expect the USDA's October 10th order to stop sending SNAP recipient data files to vendor will cause any delays after November 1st?
No, it won't delay the issuance of the state supplement. So we already had a state-funded supplement for the elderly and folks with disabilities. So we are using that system to issue this state-funded bridge program. So we are working with our vendor. We are just not issuing federal SNAP. So we're issuing a state nutrition program.
And the federal government says they won't reimburse states on this spending.
That's correct as of right now.
I do want to clarify that. The legislature also expects me, and I will, to fight like hell to get that money back. They have stated, don't rely on that, because they really don't want states to solve the problem. That's even more shameful, right? They don't want you to solve this problem. So our legislative delegation, which I'm not sure the legislature knows, maybe they do. Everyone knows everything but me. They're already in negotiations about returning, when that occurs, that New Mexico's effort and our $30 million and whatever comes next has to be in those negotiations in whatever vehicle, continuing resolution, whatever funding vehicle. Something else I want New Mexicans to know. I didn't ask the legislative, the congressional delegation to do that. I would. They did it by themselves. They're already doing it. It is the best of our work where we know exactly who needs to do what job to make this work for every New Mexican. So no guarantees. We're willing to take that risk, but we're going to fight like hell to get it back.
Governor Susan from the Associated Press, kind of following up on Dan's question, what is New Mexico sacrificing here in terms of the money? Could we have been putting it towards education, tax breaks, roads?
We have done all that. We have put money towards roads. We have done a ton of tax breaks. We have extended, frankly, to 200% of poverty SNAP, which is one of the reasons we have so many families, because we don't want any insecurity. But yes, There is now going to have to be harder choices for us in a 30-day session about what economic development tools we utilize. There may be tougher discussions about what public employees and educators and the like, where we are with compensation packages. I'd like more for roads and infrastructure. There will have to be some give and take, but I'm very comfortable with these three things. One, we have been really smart about putting money in places for all of these rainy days. Two, we have been judicious about how that money gets allocated so that there's a real return on our investments, and there has been. And New Mexico still leads in the country, more than double the national average for economic output and base economic jobs. We've added almost 140,000 jobs. We're highest in the nation for wage growth, family income. We're moving children out of poverty. We're not going to go back. And this is the point today. This money actually gives us a better return on those investments by keeping people out of poverty and out of harm's way, but it may shift one or two priorities in the 30-day session, and it's going to depend on how much we spend and what the likelihood of success to get the feds to do what they should be doing all along. But I'm not, and I think I can say it, we're not panicked about not meeting needs and not advancing good ideas in the 30-day session. Yep, right. Looks to me like none of us are panicked.
Let's go to KOB here.
Monica Logroño, KOB4. Earlier, Governor, you said that to fund New Mexicans' SNAP benefits through December would cost $250 million. From my understanding, I reached out to actually one of the POs during the presser. It costs $80 to $90 million per month. So wouldn't that be $180 million?
Well, it's 20 to 30 million a week. So I'm doing the highest end here. It could cost us, and we may want to spend about the 250 million. And the point that I'm making is it's really significant. And again, with inflation, these food costs also, and the benefits don't change. I mean, really, these benefits are $2.83 a meal. So when people, and that wasn't your question, but it's a good opportunity, seem to get mad on social media as the lieutenant governor. Now, these are folks that are just getting, it's $2.83. It's the bare minimum. You try putting a meal together for your family for $2.83. I did it in Congress for $1.50. That was the benefit then. It's impossible. So we want to make sure that we're doing the very best by our families with these benefits that are intended to extend, right, and limit to the highest degree possible your food insecurity. Last thing about that, there are some families who get, except for food banks, and that's a big exception because they are the real bridge. They can't make it with just a SNAP benefit. There's no way. And so it's all the other pieces of the network that make a difference. But we could spend that much through December, but you have the averages correct, Monica. So I want to make sure you heard that too.
We have time for one more question. You're going to have a quick follow-up?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if any of the free school meals will be impacted. This is separate from SNAP or gas.
That money's all appropriated in there. Schools are continue to have access to the universal meals, and we also got money from, again, this legislature to do more in schools and to do some more infrastructure, both at schools and at food banks. I mean, we have been thoughtful about the possibility of these kinds of moments, and we're dedicated to continue to problem solve in favor of New Mexicans who need us.
Okay, we got time for one more. We'll go right here on the end.
This is for you, Governor. What would happen if USDA did decide to use that contingency fund? Are you preparing for that possibility that all of this is?
Yes, and we would then suspend one program, and there could be a little overlap. And again, at $2.83 a meal, I'm going to guess most of the legislature is not going to be mad that we have a little overlap. But we have a vehicle, and I really didn't do this very well. Clearly, I didn't spend any time with the secretary. I just flew in, but also her team has been working 24/7 to put this together. So we made some calls to the legislative leadership on Sunday, and said, we've been trying to wrap our heads around how we do this. And it sounds like we should just be able to do it. It really isn't magic wand-ish. Our own infrastructure to create a bridge program doesn't really exist. We have to create it. The feds load the EBT cards. We have to do this now on our own. This team worked over the weekend, is working now, is continuing to make adjustments so that we can meet this moment in the way that we need to, but there could be some overlap, and it's a risk we're willing to take. But we would suspend one and then go to the other if that occurs.
Thank you, Governor. That's all we have time for. Secretary Armijo is going to stick around in case any of you have any logistical
Do we
questions.
have anyone else that needs to?
All right. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yay, New Mexico.